You know what I mean? We can do it out.
Hey, hey, Chief, you want to make sure that mic is turned on? Should be on the...
I got the green light. Can we push this through that door? Grab my thing. Just slide it through the door. Or we'll just leave. Anything else? Nudge? Yep. Is there any? Do you want us on this side, that side? Doesn't matter right now. It's going to be about 10 minutes or so before we get to you guys. Get him a shot. There goes the cell phone. Yeah, don't be that guy. Yeah. Just shut it right off. You probably couldn't hear it ringing. What?
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Rockland Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. Everybody please stand and join us for a salute to the flag. Led to us by Selectman Larry Ryan. Larry, do the honors.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody could remain standing for a second. Just take a moment of silence for the passing of Dr. John Rogers. Thank you. So before we get going, I just wanted to read a passage out of Dr. Rogers' obituary to everybody, which kind of really signified who he was. So this is exactly from the obituary, but John was a force behind some of the biggest projects in his hometown of Rockland, including the rebuilding of the John W. Rogers Middle School, renovation of the high school, the Rockland Senior Center, and Veterans Memorial. John served on nearly every social and volunteer club in town, including as a Rockland Selectman, interim Rockland Town Administrator, board member of the South Shore Tri-Town Development Corp., president of the Rockland Housing Authority, chairman of the Rockland School Building Committee, president of Rockland Kiwanis Club, member of the Rockland Lions, member of the Rockland Eagles, and member of the Rockland Knights of Columbus. John had a real passion for the people of the community. If people wanted something done in Rockland, they called John. He knew how to get people motivated to a cause. Some people in town have reached out to me requesting that we postpone this meeting tonight in honor of John Rogers, and I felt as though after reading John's resume, it was most appropriate that we go through with this meeting, because God knows if John was on the board, he'd want to go through with this meeting as well. So with that, John was, he was a giant to a lot of us. He was a mentor to me and somebody that I sought advice often to. And with that, I'll turn it over to our senior member of the board, Selectman Ryan, for his comments.
John's always been a go-getter, but some years ago, when we lost our town administrator during my first years on the job, the fire chief, Kevin Henderson, said, I said, what are we going to do about a town administrator? We need a town administrator. We got to have somebody good. We got to have somebody fast. He said, well, call John Rogers. See what he says. So I called John. He said, well, if you can't find somebody, maybe I'll think about it. And I'm there, John, I'm not calling anyone else. I'll see you at 8:30 in the morning at the town hall. He goes, okay then. And some years later, he came up to me and he thanked me for dragging him off the heap. And he was retired and really going out to pasture when I dragged him back into it. And a lot of the wonderful things he's done was raised him off the heap. And he was a great man, a good Rockland resident, and somebody who was transplanted from somebody else and became one of Rockland's best. And I want to thank him, his family, and I can't really, he's one of my people that I have to thank. So thank you, John Rogers, for all you did for the town.
Anybody else? Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to. I've known John a good part of my life. The last 15 years or so, I really get to know him. Get to work with him on the school project. Just incredibly instrumental in getting that project through. As we went into this current project, he was starting to wind down, but I leaned on him pretty heavily as we started it. My wife got to work with him on the senior center. There's not a lot of people that truly make an impact on a community and make that community better. He is one individual who did. Literally, I don't know, a 60-year impact on this town from the school system all the way through. He's going to be greatly missed, and just a phenomenal person. So that was it.
I was able to stop by Dr. Rogers' wake earlier today, and I wanted to thank his family for the legacy that he was able to have in this town. And one of the things that I've always thought of when I think about Rockland is the amount of heart that's in our town. And through all of his accomplishments and his never ceaseless commitment to this town, we've been able to see who was the heart of Rockland, and I certainly appreciate it, and it's inspiring. And may his legacy inspire us all.
Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, moving on. Next on the agenda is resident community recognition. So I'll apologize to everybody in the room to start off. I forgot how big these police promotion ceremonies are, and I forgot that you guys all show up. I think everybody here has never felt more safe than we are in this moment, but due to COVID, it's been a while since we've had one of these, so we do have a little bit of housekeeping and some recognition that we want to take care of first. So if you guys can all bear with us, we'll get that going now. So for those that don't know, tonight is the last night on the board for two of our current selectmen, Rich Penny and Larry Ryan. So we thought it was appropriate, and it's not something that we typically do, but both these two have been stalwarts, and they've been good friends to me, and anytime I need anything, these are the guys that I go to. Rich jumped onto the board. I worked with him on finance committee for several years, and he was my right-hand guy there as well. But he jumped onto the board knowing that he was going to be involved in a lawsuit. He was going to be named in a lawsuit, which that takes something, and that shows his commitment to the town of Rockland, that he was willing to put himself out there. And he's
That
done
actually stays with me.
it stays with you, yeah. You'll still be sued even after you're gone. So you got that
Not
going
just because
for
I'm
you.
all done, it doesn't
Yeah.
go away, it stays with me.
You got that going for you, Rich. So we'll see you around, obviously, because that's still
Yep.
going if people aren't aware. But outside of being a friend, outside of the countless committees that you've been a part of, and the countless things that you've done, that I don't think people will have a full understanding of all the things that you've done to this point, and that you'll continue to do, because just because you're leaving here, we're not letting you go completely. We'll find something for you. I thought it was appropriate to recognize you tonight. So with that said, from the town of Rockland, present this certificate of recognition to Rich Penny in recognition of your commitment and dedication to the town of Rockland as a member of the Board of Selectmen, November 6, 2018 to April 9, 2022. And I think you guys will notice there's a theme. I always do a Winston Churchill quote on the bottom, and the quote in this one is wonderful what great strides can be made when there's resolute purpose behind them. So Rich, you can come around here. This is for you. From us. And stay up. This is you too.
You know how I love
I know. So Rich said to me that his last meeting, nobody was going to know it was going to be his last meeting, and he was just going to walk out. But I thought to do this, and when his wife asked him if he wanted him to go to the meeting, he said absolutely not. There's no reason for it. So I called his wife and invited her and his kids and anybody else to come by, which is what friends do. So this is from Senator Keenan. It's State Senate official citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Rich Penny in recognition of your retirement from the Board of Selectmen after years of outstanding and dedicated service to the residents of the town of Rockland. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. And it's signed by Karen Spilka, Michael Hurley, and John Keenan.
Thank you.
Before you do what you like to do, which is comment in public in front of large rooms like this, Dave DeCoste, State Rep.
See, this one gets edged into the Senate, so it really never
This one's
appears.
more packed.
Well, I haven't been looking forward to this. As much as I like all the good candidates running, I was kind of like, I'm almost hoping it stay on. And I know you've got a good farm team coming out, but this is a little bit, I don't want to get too maudlin, but in both cases, this is kind of like, I don't know, Johnny Busick and Jerry Cheek or Sweetie or something. You have to have some gray hair to know who I'm talking about. But I will just direct this at both of you, and I'll come up and be, but it's been a pleasure with all the board. Tiffany, you include the new members and the new folks. I would say you, without taking away from any other boards, but you folks kind of distinguish yourself because you have no other agenda but the good of Rockland. This is one of the few places I come to where people are actually concerned about whether or not older people can live in their communities and afford property taxes. And I know there's a whole ideological, difference up here, but you have always, despite all the kind of excitement before everything.
That was before
Post
me.
that, there you go. You guys, and I listen to every single, which by the way, the Rockland Cable does a great job. I normally do all my busy work and have all three Rockland Select Boards, all three boards of selectmen running one after the other. It's what I do early in the mornings, and you guys are always respectful. Doug, you're to the point. It is always well run. And in your case, you ask the questions, but again, focus is on good government, helping people. It's not expanding. It's not an agenda. It is just, your focus has always been helping the community that you grew up in, that your children grew up in, and that to take my father's feet, they'll probably bring you out of here feet first. So,
Hopefully not for a while. Think that.
but I actually grabbed the wrong one. So, Rich, I'm going to meet you. I'm going to miss you. But speaking of meat, I'll take you guys out to the Brazilian barbecue place. One final time. There you go. We actually got a lot done there. We actually did. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offices sincerest congratulations to Richard Penny in recognition of your years of exemplary service to the town of Rockland as a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I might add, and all the other dozens of things that you did. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses hope for good fortune and continued success in all of your endeavors. Dated today and signed by Speaker Mariano and myself, and thank you for being just a terrific leader. This is coming from an Army officer who can recognize leadership. Thank you.
I just thank you. I really appreciate it. Those that, voted for me a couple of times and years ago, very much appreciate it. I'll have a comment later, later in the meeting. But Dave, I really appreciate it. For those that don't know, I'm not a political guy. When I started doing this, had no agenda. It was just do what's right. This guy has done so much for the town. That's why when I got the Senate one, that was nice. But the comment I made, that coming from you, more impactful. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Why don't you come around? I think you're waiting for it. So to a person that doesn't need any introduction, I think his YouTube video on WRPS has been viewed more than any other video in RPS history. I think over 13,000 times as of this morning. So he's got that record as well. But I'll give you a quick introduction to Larry Ryan. He was a youth hockey volunteer in the early 70s. Rockland Little League coach for 8 years, president of Rockland Little League for 5 years, Holy Family School basketball assistant coach for 8 years, an Abington Legion assistant baseball coach for 4 years, Holy Family Parish Bazaar co chair with his wife Mary for 3 years, Holy Family CCD confirmation class teacher for 3 years, Holy Family 1000 a month club, not sure of that, but Rockland Fishing Derby with the Kiwanis for 5 years, Rockland assistant Cub Scout leader for 3 years, he's a member of the Rockland Eagles since 1975, Quincy Yacht Club since 1987, and he was the Commodore at the Quincy Yacht Club in 1997. Everybody knows he's the harbor master here in Rockland, which is a very difficult job. We're landlocked, but that's another story. He's been a selectman twice, 2 9-year terms. In between the 2 9-year terms, he spent 3 years on the Finance Committee, and some could say he left, and he would say, and everybody has told me, that he left the Board of Selectmen to go, at the time, fix the Finance Committee, because they needed fixing. He's been chairman of this board 4 times, and he's been vice chairman 4 times. And there's a list of, I don't know, 20 different selectmen, and I'm not going to bother reading all their names, but he served with many of them, including our current chief and obviously everybody in the room on the current board. So, Larry, we have also a citation from State Senator Keenan, which is the same as Rich's, but be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Larry Ryan in recognition of your retirement from the Board of Selectmen after decades of outstanding and dedicated service to the residents of the town of Rockland. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate sends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. So that's from Senator Keenan.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Larry, and by the way, I should have recognized Rich's family too, and I know they're here, and he's, in both cases, Larry, Mary, I don't have my glasses on. Ah, there you are, okay. In both families, it's, you lose Dad for a long while, and it's not just the meetings, it's all the other stuff that they have to endure, and, what? There you go.
I was going to say, my kids encourage me.
Larry, again, another guy that, to deal with him, if we didn't have, as a matter of fact, I'm still not really sure, but you wouldn't know where this guy's politics, in both, it's just good Rockland. What makes good government here? What betters things here? What can make Rockland a better place for people to raise their families and operate safely and have a good education and remain in town without being taxed out of existence here and having to move elsewhere? Personable, approachable, and I will tell you, you know, I was never made to feel by anyone in this town that I was, and I know that some of you may not be quite as conservative as I am, but in all case, and this has been a wonderful team to work with, and as I said, I know you've got a great farm team moving up, but I'm going to miss you guys. And the good news is, I know you're not leaving, so you're another feet first guy, I guess, most likely.
There you go. I'm
All
not moving
And,
out of town, at least.
Great family, and I didn't know that you had done all the stuff down at Holy Family, so, you know, God bless you. There you go.
There you go.
Can I have an amen? All right. Larry, I know we see each other around, and they'll probably hook you up into some type of other position back on finance or conservation or something maybe. You like that, all right.
Well, we'll see.
Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers sincerest congratulations to Larry Ryan in recognition of your many years of exemplary service to the town of Rockland as a member of the Board of Selectmen and so much else. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses a hope for future good fortune and continued success in all your endeavors. Dated today and signed by myself and Speaker Mariano. Congratulations.
Thank you again.
Stay
It's a
well.
pleasure to do business with you. That's all. Thank you, David.
So, also from the town of Rockland, the town of Rockland presents this certificate of recognition to Larry J. Ryan in recognition of the commitment and dedication as a member of the Board of Selectmen, April 13, 1996 to April 9, 2022. The board hereby proclaims Larry J. Ryan as one of Rockland's best. And I also have a quote from Winston Churchill again. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. And Larry has stood up and spoken more than he sat down and listened. But in recognition of your many years as the town's harbor master, present you Rockland's Best Award,
Oh, thank
which
you.
is the highest honor we have for a individual citizen in the town of Rockland. So, Larry, nobody did it better. So.
Thank you. like to thank everybody for coming. It's kind of with mixed feelings that I say goodbye, but it's time for me to go on, and it's time for the town to go on. Nothing lasts forever, and everybody hangs up the glove at some point in their life. I really want to thank my wife for getting me the job, if you will. If she hadn't got the job at the fire station, I might not be here today. And thanks to former Chief Henderson for pushing it. And when they come out and asked me, Mary said, "Oh, no, he won't." No, no. She came home and said, I said, "Sure, why not?" And, you know, and it's been a real pleasure. It's, I've met so many people. I have so many friends. The Chief and I have served on the board. You know, we go back a ways to the glory days, we'll call them. And I made so many friends, state reps, state senators. I even got my picture with the governor. But I told him he had to do it because it was my last year being on the board, you know?
And that took 20 minutes to take, so. And there are 27 other towns waiting to
Well,
get their
that's
picture
all
with
right.
the governor. And Larry told him about all 18 years on the board.
There you go. And he wanted to know, too.
Yeah.
But it's really been a good time. It hasn't always been a pleasure. And sometimes you have to stand up and fight for what's right. And luckily, I want to thank Scott McKinley because he's a House Neck guy too, and I am too. And you know, when you come from House Neck, there's way too many mud flats and outgoing tides to ever worry about prisoners. And I had to learn about taking prisoners when I came to Rockland. So he told me he gave me a lot of advice as to how to deal with people and how to be mature in my dealings with most people. You know, I don't always get there, and I've been told I'm rough around the edges, and you know what I say to them? What are edges? You know, you think outside the box. There's a box there? Do you see a box? You know. So I think, I don't know if that makes me different than anybody else, but, you know, I was told when I was a kid, tell the truth. And I got the snot wailed out of me whether I did or not anyway. I was one of 10 children growing up in House Neck, and, you know, and my father worked 3 jobs. My mother was a Girl Scout leader and all this other stuff. So, you know, Saturday mornings it was 7 o'clock, it was, see ya, 5 o'clock, don't be late. And that was for the supper bell. So, you know, I learned discipline as a young kid. I worked in a hospital for 50 years. 30 of it I spent nights and weekends in the emergency room. So dealing with the problems in Rockland sometimes seem so minuscule when you're dealing with saving someone's life or breathing for them for 4 hours or things like that. And, you know, I'm a sum total of what I've done in my life, and I'm happy to have been able to share it with the town of Rockland. You've made my life worthwhile. I got a good family here. My sons live in the town. The kids are here. Our granddaughter just got inducted into the Space Force. You know, she signed up for the Air Force, and the Space Force called her and said, we want her. And so she's off the boot camp, and hopefully we'll be there. You know, I got a good family, I got good sons. I got one that lives in Texas and has a nice big ranch that says, come visit me, Larry. And stay all winter if you like. But we'll see. I'm not leaving town. I'm not moving out, so I'll be around to anybody who wishes to come visit, talk, or call. And again, thank you so much. The town of Rockland is a great place to live. And if Lenny was here, I would have told him that, you know, because that's what I always told him. It's a great place to live and raise your family. And that's the truth. When I came here 50 years ago, it was a nice town, but it was all run by families, and they didn't always get along together. Now it's not all run by families, but sometimes we still all don't get along together, but we're all working for the same goal, to make Rockland the best it can be in our community. We have what other people want. We have storage, and we have rubbish pickup. We're not running to the dump every week. We're not calling the guy to come empty our septic tank once a year. We're not, you know, we got modern conveniences that other towns that have bigger markers on the world don't have. Hanover, for instance. I have to go by there all the time, watch them going to the dump every Saturday. I said, geez, well, I'd hate to do that. But we got, people that were responsible over the years. Hasn't been perfect, but they did their jobs. And we got solid footing. We got a good administration in the building now, the first real true professional administration we have from top to bottom. And they've done a great job in building Rockland. Even during the COVID pandemic, we went ahead. We didn't stay even and we didn't get behind. And that's because every one of them that works for us in the town hall did their job. And nobody knows the budget inside out any more than any of us because he stuffs it down our throat. And that's I mean it. That's a good thing because if somebody comes up to you and says, "What about this?" You got to have an answer. Nobody likes to come up and say, "I don't know," especially if you're someone like me. It's very embarrassing. So choose your leaders wisely. The town of Rockland will go on. It'll survive without any one person individual. Because one individual does not make up the town of Rockland. The town of Rockland is staring me in the face. All right? You are the residents, you are the voters, you are the ones that make the rules, quite frankly. We tell you, here's something, do you want it or not? And you either vote yes or no. So keep doing a great job. We'll set the budget out for you. The town will set the budget out for you, let you know where every penny's being spent. And life will be good in the future. We all stick together and on we go. Thank you so much. I had to get 20 years worth in.
That's why I kept it short.
Thank you, Larry, as always, short and sweet.
When you are running out of captive audiences,
This might be your last captive
well,
audience
that's what I
ever.
think. The next captive audience, I might not be the guy talking, sitting in the corner. So,
Okay. Next on the agenda, minutes. Review and approval of minutes of March 15th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? And Tiffany's
I abstain.
abstaining because you were not present. Perfect. Next on the agenda, Eagle Scout recognition. Doug?
I'm actually going to turn this over to Deputy Police Chief Aramo, and he'll take it from here.
Perfect.
Come on. Good evening. Tonight we're here to honor Rockland's Boy Scout one of Rockland's Boy Scouts from Troop 57, Adam Pollard. Adam met with the chief and I back in September of 2019 and said he was seeking to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout. Part of the requirements to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout was to give something back to the community, and Adam asked if the Rockland Police Department would assist him. Both the chief and I were honored that Adam chose the police department as a beneficiary to his award, and we're excited to hear what he was planning to do. So over the next couple of months, Adam came forward with his, what they call an official proposal, and that included amassing a collection of historical artifacts, articles, and photos of the Rockland Police Department, catalog them, and then building a beautiful shadow box for them to be displayed in. Refurbishing the benches with the Rockland Police patch and a thin blue line embossed in the center, poly-coated for durability as well as replacing the legs with stainless steel legs at the police station front lobby, and then refitting one of our existing display cases with a framed array of department patches and photos that go back in time for us. All of the work that Adam completed was on his own. It was through the help of donations and the assistance of about 20 volunteers. Adam organized his own fundraiser with the help of the 99 restaurant, it was called Dining with a Cause. Right? And he received many other generous monetary donations and donations for material that helped him complete the project, just under $2,000. As you can imagine, due to the pandemic, in January of 2019, 2 months after Adam put his proposal forward, a lot of obstacles got in his way and really slowed down his efforts. The pandemic affected Adam's fundraising efforts, which were canceled and rescheduled several times. It also limited his ability to reach out, search out to any historical artifacts and meet with people. None of that stopped Adam. and he persevered through the pandemic and paid off, and he finished his goal. He reached his goal. In August 2021, almost 2 years after he signed off, we signed off with Adam's plan. He installed the lobby benches at the police station and completed the Eagle Scout project. It looks really wonderful, and we invite anybody to come there sometime and take a look at what Adam did. So on January 23rd, 2022, Adam was awarded the rank of Eagle Scout. And on tonight, on behalf of the Chief of Police and myself and the men and women of the Rockland Police Department, we would like to present Adam, okay, with this Achievement Award and a small token, as a small token of our appreciation for all the work you did. And it reads, to Adam Pollard, for your outstanding dedication to the community and the service of the Rockland Police Department. We thank you very much. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, may I?
Absolutely.
Before you leave,
Adam. Selectman Ryan.
congratulations really from the board, but I go to an awful lot of Eagle Scout honor guards or whatever, with honor ceremonies, and I've been to a number of them over the years, and it's a big deal. It's important for your life, and it's something that'll always stay with you. So that when you go to your college and you fill out an application, or some jobs you fill out an application, there's a checkbox with, you know, what have you done in your life? Check, I'm an Eagle Scout. And that goes a long way toward employment, schooling, or whatever. People respect it, and it shows that you're a hard-working young man that's willing to take on projects by yourself and get it done. And that's a good thing, and I always respect the Eagle Scouts. I was a Scout when I was younger. I never became an Eagle, but I respect all that they do. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay. Next on the agenda, Police Department promotion and hiring, Lieutenant Brian Coakley and Sergeant Brian McDonald. Chief Llewellyn.
Thank you. Thank you to the board. Doug, I appreciate you allowing us to come up tonight. And as you said, you know, we like to make the promotion ceremony something that, you know, many members of the department come to support that individuals, or the individuals tonight, the Bryans tonight getting promoted. So I appreciate all the members that are here, the family, and everyone else. So this does not happen very often in a police department, especially a police department of our size. So for these officers to move up in rank, it's only because they earned it. And I always just say that the success of the police department, it's not on me, the deputy, the lieutenants, or anybody. It's a complete unit working together. And the key to our success is having the round peg in the round hole and the square peg in the square hole. Well, I'm here to present, first of all, tonight, my round peg. If I could have Brian step up. Terry, if you would come up. I just want to introduce Brian to everybody here tonight and just give you a little bit of a background on him. If you would hold that for me, please. So Brian Coakley came to the police department in February of 1996 as a permanent intermittent police officer. He became full-time in July of 2000. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in April of 2012. And as of February of this year, he's being promoted to the rank of lieutenant. And if you add that up, it's 26 years of service by Brian Coakley to the town of Rockland and to the police department. Brian came to us with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and, of course, he graduated summa cum laude, which is as high as you can get. He's currently working on a master's program in criminal justice as well. During his time with the police department, Brian's been the commander of the acclaimed Rockland Police Department Honor Guard. He had to attend rigorous training out in Minnesota to become commander of our Honor Guard. And he brought all of that back and instilled it in our 12-member Honor Guard unit. And truthfully, our Honor Guard has presented the colors at the Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, Patriots, and the Revolution. We're one of a very few number of police departments across the state that can say that. And we only did that because of the leadership of Brian Coakley. So he holds those officers right to a strict standard. And truthfully, when we went to the Revolution the first time, Robert Kraft's group actually watches the Honor Guard to see if they're good enough to come and do the presentation of the colors at a Patriots game. And Brian was a little wired up that day, but we passed. Brian has also been a DARE officer in Rockland for 11 years, and he attended SRO training as well, which is a school resource officer training. He was a member of the Rockland Police Department Special Response Team, which goes back many years, kind of showing the gray hairs, but that was a lot of really difficult training, and we did some of the training across the country in high-risk warrants and entries and arrest techniques, so Brian's done a lot of different things with us. He's also been a field training officer. Recently, he's attended many of the FBI leader training classes, which is the law enforcement executive development classes. And now he's stepping into a great new challenge because, as we all know, with post-reform in Massachusetts, they're requiring a lot more of police departments, a lot more reporting, a lot more rules and regulations, policies and procedures. And if I look at the entire membership of the Rockland Police Department, this is the guy that I want to be there to do this. He's worked his way up, he's earned this opportunity, and I know truthfully he's going to make the department better for being in that capacity. He's already had to file numerous filings with the Post Commission. We are now going to be moving towards certification and accreditation, which is a really big deal in the police world. It just sort of gives us another step up, if you will, another bit of accreditation. And it's also going to help the town with our insurance policies because it says the police department really has this stuff together. So I'm pleased to present to you tonight Lieutenant Brian Coakley, and I would ask his wife Terry to pin the badge and make it official. You guys want to stand? Excellent. We're going to have Brian McDonald come on up. Well done. Ryan? How are you? Now I present to you Brian McDonald. Brian McDonald came to the police department in 2005 as a permanent intermittent police officer. He became full-time in January of 2010, and he's going to become a sergeant here in February, as of February 2022. That's a total of 17 years of service for Brian McDonald. Now, when you put a round peg in a round hole, you need a square peg to fill up the backing, right? So with Brian Coakley moving up into a new position, we need somebody in the most important leadership positions within the police department. The most important leadership positions are not myself or the deputy or the lieutenants. It's the frontline sergeants. They have to go out and make difficult decisions in a high-stress situation. So it's critically important that the administration pick somebody for the position of sergeant that can handle that has the respect of the officers that they'll be commanding, and they have the education and training to be able to stand there and deal with these high-stress situations. So I'm thrilled that Brian McDonald is going to become part of our management team. Now, Brian, over his career, has been instrumental in the success of the Plymouth County Outreach Program. As everyone in this room knows, the opioid epidemic has really hit Rockland very, very hard. So years ago, Rockland Cares and the Plymouth County Outreach Group started a program where they would reach out to somebody that had an overdose or a crisis situation. Brian McDonald has been on the front line, and he's actually been in leadership positions for both of those organizations. In fact, now for the Plymouth County Outreach, which is nationally known and becoming nationally accredited, Brian is a first responder, and he's been recognized for that. And in fact, he's actually going and helping to train the new people who are responding. So if one of your loved ones had a crisis, had an overdose, Brian will come the next day in plain clothes with an outreach worker and a recovery coach, which is somebody who's in recovery, and will sit with you and talk about what the options are. We'll present you opportunities to move forward, get into some counseling, get into some programs where you can help beat the addiction. Brian is the superstar of Plymouth County as far as that stuff goes, so we're thrilled that he's on our team here in Rockland. So he's also a Narcan trainer for our department, so if you can see a common thread here, that he's really passionate about the epidemic and how we're going to fix that. So, you know, when police departments first started coming out with Narcan, it was a bit controversial. Rockland embraced it, and we embraced it because of officers like Brian McDonald, who knew that we really had to reach out. And this wasn't, we're not going to arrest our way out of a problem like this. So He's also an instructor for the Rad Kids program. I'm sure a lot of people in town have attended the Rad Kids program, Rad Adults. Brian's an instructor certified, going to be teaching that as we move forward as well, whether he likes it or not. He's also a field training officer, which means we entrust the new people coming out of the police academy to someone like Brian so that he can train them and show them the right and the safe ways to be on the street. It's great to go to a police academy and learn the books, the constitutional law, criminal law, motor vehicle law, how to run and jump high, but you need somebody with a good disposition that can actually teach these guys, again, under a high-stress situation. So he's also a background investigator for our department, so not only once we get them out of the academy, but before we even let them go there, we entrust them to Brian to come back and present to us who the best candidates are and to do a good, clear background check on them. So with all that said, we're thrilled to have Brian on our team. And as the department moves forward, we need to adapt and change because the officers that are coming out of the police academy today are not the officers that I graduated the police academy or the deputy did. The times are changing. We need people with compassion, with skill sets that I may not have had when I came out of the academy to communicate with people, empathize, and to deal with these people. So my square peg and my square hole, and I'm pleased to present Sergeant Brian McDonald.
Purple Heart next. Congratulations, Brian. Pleasure, Brian. Been good. Yeah, you're all right. I'll tell you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Just on behalf of the police department, Doug, and the board, I truly appreciate you giving us this opportunity. These guys truly earned this recognition, and, on behalf of us, we want to thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks for all you
Thank
did
you
for
very
me.
much.
Thank you, Brian.
Congratulations, guys.
And now watch the room for you.
We're going now.
Yep. Yeah, that's
Nobody. They're clearing out.
Just like that.
We'll be back to normal. No one in the room.
What have you done for me lately?
You want to keep them quiet up there, because we're gonna get an update on the police chief, so-
Yep. Take that.
Thank you.
Won't miss that, Mary.
I know it takes up a lot of time and stuff, and I do appreciate it.
no,
and they do.
John,
No, it's worth it.
It's one of
Absolutely.
my favorite things that we do.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to show appreciation, and it's important to show recognition for good work. So it's something that I hope we continue to do and can do often.
Thank you for
I
allowing
appreciate
us
it.
to be a part of it.
No.
No, it's good.
Just give it another second.
We'll turn the lieutenant and deputy on him to, shh.
Mix on detail. Okay. Next on the agenda, police chief hiring process. Chief Llewellyn.
Okay, so I think you got the information that I sent up. I put out to the department what the qualifications were, and I had an application deadline of Monday, yesterday at noontime, and I'm pleased to say we had 4 applicants. I have 4 resumes and 4 letters of intent, which I will copy and get up to the board. We also have an assessment center scheduled on June 6th. It's a Monday. So those 4 candidates are going to be put through a series of 5, maybe 6 scenarios that are going to be graded and judged by a panel of police chiefs brought in by the assessment center company. That list will then be created within a week. And again, beauty of using assessment centers. We'll have that list within a week. I will then put a package together, send it up to Doug, and I will certainly be happy to work with, town council, Doug, the board, in what you think should be steps 2, 3, and 4 in that hiring process. So it has begun. We have 4 extremely qualified candidates. 2 others came to me that were qualified. One did not want to put on for it because he plans on retiring in 3 years, and he didn't think it was fair that if he were to get the job, not to be here for a longer term, which I agreed with. And the other officer really doesn't feel qualified to be chief. He would like to fit in another more administrative role. So, and I appreciate their honesty in coming forward and discussing it with them. But the other 4 are very interested and also very qualified. So.
So the next step
good
would
news.
be the assessment center on June 6th. How long does that process typically take?
That'll be a one-day assessment center. And again, he's assured me that I'll have the results by the end of the week, which I will then automatically forward to Doug with the packet, being the resumes, a cover letters, letters of intent, all of that, and the assessment center, whatever they're going to give us for notes and stuff. For position of sergeant and lieutenant, they've simply given me a rank, but I've asked for more detail from them on this, so it may take a little bit longer to get it. So.
Anybody else have any questions for the chief in regards to the process?
Mike, could I make one?
You sure can.
comment?
Absolutely.
My recommendation to the board is, since the assessment center is going to rank I would recommend only receiving the top 3. I think it'll make it simpler for the board, just to help narrow the field a little bit. And that's the whole purpose of having an assessment center, is for their kind of independent, objective.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think if we stick with the top 3 without knowing what the assessment center's ranking was,
Right.
that would be the best way to go about it. So, yeah, that's fine. Anybody else have any comments or questions for the chief?
I just want to say that the process doesn't stop there by any means. I know when I went through it many years ago, and I've helped other departments go through it, there is traditionally an interview with the town administrator, either before or after the board. With the board, they often have done, as they did with me, come up with a set of questions, have the candidate videotaped their answers to those questions, maybe a written exercise, a presentation exercise. So, it certainly doesn't end at the assessment center by any means. I think it really needs to be somebody that the board, and especially the town administrator, are comfortable with moving forward. Because, listen, I've been here 16 years as chief, so it can be a long term, or it can be, I'm the anomaly. Most chiefs are 3 to 4 years tops. They're burnt out, they're retired. I've been very fortunate because the department is just phenomenal. So.
And your good fortune has been our good fortune as well. So, okay, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again as this process continues. And thank you for your time, and
Appreciate
go join
it.
you guys.
Congratulations, Rich, Larry.
Thanks, John.
Best
Thanks,
of
John.
luck.
Thanks for being there all those years for me. I appreciate it.
Okay, next on the agenda, Town Administrator Performance Evaluation. Okay, so this is a process that took a little bit longer this year as a result of the spikes in COVID and working remotely, but we were able to get a summary from Attorney Clifford. So the way the process works out is each member of the Board of Selectmen fills out a review on the Town Administrator's performance, and then Attorney Clifford does a compilation of those 5 reviews that he receives, and we come up with a summary. So with that being said, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to speak to the scoring and some of the comments that went along with that. So he's graded on 8 different criteria. The first criteria is leadership and staff effectiveness. Doug received a 3.3 overall rating. Doug has done a tremendous job at establishing himself as a leader in Town Hall. Doug is often looked to for guidance and advice from department heads and boards that do not answer directly to him. Doug does an excellent job of communicating to his staff and doesn't hesitate to have difficult conversations with staff members. Doug did an excellent job throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. He effectively communicated and updated town infection rates and maintained a sense of calm throughout Town Hall. Next, under planning and organization, this review is also a public record, so it'll be on the town website after this meeting or tomorrow morning. Doug received a 3.7 overall rating out of 4. Doug does an excellent job of communicating initiatives to the board, employees, and residents. Doug implemented a financial team at Town Hall. The team consisted of all department heads associated with municipal finances. The creation of this team has streamlined the budgeting process and produced balanced and easily communicated budgets. Doug does an excellent job at planning and following through with minimal direction from the board. Doug successfully spearheaded the coordination of the McCarthy Farm acquisition. This project required Doug to research, plan, communicate, and coordinate between multiple departments. This project also required funding from multiple sources and a clear, concise presentation to the general public. Doug was also selected for a leadership position in Mass Municipal Managers Association, which reflects his high standard of performance, and he's able to plan and organize under extremely challenging COVID situation. The next category is communication and community relations. Doug received a 4 out of 4 on this category. Doug utilized social media to succinct, informative manner. He's effective at managing, collaborating with key persons. Communication skills helped to resolve challenging conflicts in Town Hall. Next category is problem solving, innovation, and decision making. Doug received a 3.7 out of 4. He led the effort with Town Council to eliminate unnecessary employment contracts, modernize personnel policies. Doug does a great job at presenting the problem at hand while also providing his thoughts on a solution. Doug is thoughtful in his decision making and doesn't hesitate to reach out for the guidance and advice from others. Doug is very analytical and deliberate in his decision making process. The next category is budget and financial management. Doug received a 3.7 out of 4. Finalized operating and capital budget by achieving consensus of all necessary parties during challenges from pandemic. Leadership during this process was exceptional. Doug frequently attends both Finance Committee and Capital Planning Committee meetings and works closely with both to communicate the Selectmen's budget. Doug successfully guided the town through the COVID-19 pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, the town was forced to deal with employee furloughs, building closures, and a new remote workforce. Doug also successfully guided the town through the reopening of COVID-19 restrictions. The next category is number 6, customer service and service quality. Doug received a 3.7 out of 4. Doug has always made himself available to the residents. Doug responds appropriately to the concerns of residents. Doug leads by example and understands the importance of his and his staff's interactions with residents. Doug always presents himself with complete professionalism, has addressed perceived mistrust of government officials through a friendly, all-business, and effective manner. Under personal, professional, and organizational integrity, Doug received a 4 out of 4. Doug is a member of the MMMA Ethics, and I said an extra M, Ethics Committee. This is unprecedented for a Rockland Town Administrator. Doug is very cognizant as the importance of public perception and frequently operates with the utmost professionalism and integrity. Next category is cross-departmental organizational management. Doug received a 4 out of 4. Doug has done a good job of building a strong relationship with the school department and many other departments throughout town. Rockland has a unique charter which severely limits the oversight of the town administrator. Doug has done a good job of operating under the constraints of the charter and has achieved buy-in from departments that aren't within his charge. Doug has improved communication between all department heads with regular staff meetings, positive working relationship with the school department. So that's it for the individual areas. The next portion is prior year accomplishments. I'll just go through a few of them here. Number 1, successfully balance protecting the health of town employees and customers versus the need to continue to provide local government services effectively and efficiently during COVID-19. He successfully led building closures, furloughs, remote work with subsequent reopening of all town facilities and rehiring of all employees during the pandemic. He successfully bargained with all 5 unions for a 1-year agreement given the financial uncertainty of COVID-19. He also maintained an overall positive budget balance and maintained the town's positive credit rating throughout this unprecedented period. Number 2, Doug, in conjunction with his staff and the Board of Selectmen, have a clear and thoughtful direction for the town. He has developed, with the help of department heads, Board of Selectmen, and other boards, clear objectives and goals heading into FY23. Number 3, he successfully led the effort to acquire a 36.2-acre parcel of land for open space, partly funded by the submission and award of a complicated $400,000 state grant, which also included exceptional collaboration with multiple town boards and committees and a successful presentation and vote at the special town meeting in the fall of 2021. Number 4, finalize the FY21 operating and capital budgets by facilitating a consensus with town's financial department heads, the Board of Selectmen, School Committee, Finance Committee, and Capital Planning Committee, and successfully presented them to the May 2020 annual town meeting. 5, he introduced the use of social media to improve citizen engagement, improve the public perception of the town, also worked with town council to strengthen the town's social media policy. Number 6, he finalized the McKinley School Community Center feasibility study and presented the report to the Board of Selectmen. So we'll skip over the objectives because we'll get that done in a few more weeks. Overall evaluation, Doug has strong leadership skills. He has helped change the culture that was a major need of improvement. He has helped build a more collaborative approach with department heads and other boards of influence. He has worked hard to create a relationship with the schools that is continually improving. He has a strong understanding of the future needs of the town and is able to communicate those to all concerned. Doug has been a positive influence since his arrival, and the town is better for his being a part of the team. Doug continues to thrive in his position as town administrator in the town of Rockland. In 2021, Doug successfully led the town through a global pandemic and the unprecedented challenges that accompanied it. Doug did a very good job of navigating the town through the pandemic, managing CARES Act funding, implementing online permitting, acquiring McCarthy Farm, and continued to improve the image and reputation of the town. Doug has proven himself to be an asset to the Board of Selectmen and the residents of Rockland. Last year presented Doug with many challenges. Through all of these challenges, Doug conducted himself with grace, professionalism, and integrity. And we'll go over the professional development plan at a later date. So with that said, Doug, that's the first time you've heard that. Any comments? You received, out of a possible 32 points, you received 31.1.
Yeah, I am humbled. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate all of that. I know that you would all be honest with me and that you would say what you believe. And so I am humbled by that. I thank you. All I'll say is that I love working in Rockland, and I'm proud to work here, and I look forward to hopefully having many more successful years to come. So thank you.
Any
May I?
comments? Yep, absolutely.
Doug, what impressed me in the beginning is not the work you did, but the homework you did before you came to the town of Rockland. You came and visited us during holidays. You went to Rockland Day. You saw what was going on. You saw the people. You ran in the race. I take a movie of the race every time, and along comes Putnam, along comes the new town administrator. And I was impressed with that because he's willing to take the time and join the community. And he's doing a great job. He's the best administrator we've ever had. And in deference to Kevin Donovan, who was one of our first ones and did a great job too, Doug is head and shoulders above any person we've ever had here. So I can appreciate the hard work and the dedication that you bring to the town of Rockland, and hope you'll be around for a long time.
Thank you, Larry. And I am remiss in not immediately mentioning also the fantastic team that I work with, because you certainly listed a lot of things that I helped contribute to, but obviously it takes a team, and we have an excellent team here in Town Hall and all of our other departments in the other buildings. So thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Anybody else?
Yeah. So, since actually even before you came, we started we had a little bit of a different process than we had in the past, trying to look for the best and strongest candidate that we could for the job, for the town administrator. And that had not always been in the past. We put together a selection committee that was probably the most impressive selection committee ever put together in the town. Ranged from all professional people. At the time, I don't even know if any of them were actually members of any board. They were people within the community that had a strong tie to the community and really had a background in selecting individuals and interviewing, and a lot of them had an HR background. So from the get-go, we really, we even hired an outside consultant to help because we wanted to get the strongest candidates. From the time that we started, and it was mentioned about the homework, whenever you have a success with an employer and employee, it has to be a match with both, right? You just can't have a good employee and not a good employer, or vice versa. Doug really did his homework on the town. He, when he came in, when we started talking to him, he already had a background in trying to learn the town and its history and what it was. And I think it showed in the process. And to Larry's point, it's an arbitrary thing to say when you say he was the best administrator ever. One thing that I know for sure, he is by far the most professional town administrator that this town has had. With his background, with the knowledge that he has, what he continues to do to try to continue to improve his knowledge. And that doesn't even account for his leadership skills and how he goes about. It has been a very good relationship between the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator. And I think at times people underestimate or assume that decisions or things that come from the town administrator is solely from the town administrator. And I can tell you that's not the case. The town administrator and the Board of Selectmen have worked very collaboratively and bouncing things off. But at the end of the day, anything that the town administrator does is coming from the Board of Selectmen. And I think that's one of the great things about Doug. We have seen in the past some town administrators that may have gone a little rogue and did their own thing and had their own agenda. And that's not the case here. And it's not always an agreement. There's conversation back and forth, but at the end of the day, whatever comes from this board or whatever comes from the town administrator is something that's agreed upon by both. And when you have someone of this caliber, we were talking earlier about some towns and what they have had to put in for a town administrator. There's not a lot of them out there to begin with, and there's not a lot of them with the knowledge and the ethics and the integrity. So, I think this has been a good marriage. I think it has been a good fit for Doug, but I also think that Doug has been a good fit for the town of Rockland.
And I would like to thank you, Doug, for your leadership, for bringing your professionalism and your panache to Rockland. As a town, our reputation has grown. Statewide, we've been able to recognized, received better recognition. And I just, for all that you've done and all that has been listed throughout Chairman Mike's review of the review, you did it during unprecedented times, and that's something that is just is phenomenal. I'm thankful for your leadership and looking forward to the promise of the future with you at the helm.
Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, with that done, we'll move on to the next topic, the next item on the agenda. Prior to this meeting, the Board of Selectmen, we had an executive session for the purpose of, per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and contract negotiations with non-union personnel, the town administrator contract. We've come out of the meeting with an agreement in place, which would be a 2.5% increase per year starting on 7/8/23 through 7/24 through 7/7/26. plus a 2% annual contribution to his deferred comp plan, and an extra week of vacation if the Friday summer schedule is no longer in place.
Only if that.
Only if that is no longer in
If that the
place.
Board of Selectmen decides to eliminate the Fridays off in the summer.
So with that said, these are the terms that were presented to us. Anybody have any comments in regards?
So the only comment I have is, from the timeline, this is fairly standard. Last time that we negotiated was the same timeline. It was a March-April timeline. With what we have in place for the town administrator, with the timeline going that his contract is up in just over a year, I think it makes sense to look to tie him up. I don't mean that literally, but to continue this partnership going forward. So if there's no other comments, I would entertain a motion.
I'll entertain the motion.
Oh, yeah, you have to entertain the motion.
Yeah, I'll entertain
Sorry.
the motion.
Look at this,
Look
I'm
at
already
you,
jumping out.
Yeah, there you go. You're interested in this seat.
I'm in the wrong board. I
Yeah.
thought I was at the other one. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. How's that?
And I'll second it because I also agree that Mr. Lapp and Ms. Constable have done a great job for the town of Rockland, and the town of Rockland has come miles forward. When everybody else was cutting and trimming budgets during the COVID thing, we were actually holding our own and even able to come up with some exceptional money to help us through this year's town meeting. So I'm going to second that motion.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Do you want a roll call vote?
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
Okay.
Aye.
So that's unanimous. And, I to Rich's point, I think there's going to be some conversation about the timeline, but 80% of this current board has worked with Doug for 3 years and has spent the 3 years evaluating Doug, and it was listed as a goal and objective to extend his contract in February or /March, and due to the Omicron spread early in the year, things got delayed and got pushed back. But I think it wouldn't be fair to anybody coming on to a new board, and it wouldn't be fair to Doug either, for people to try to evaluate your last 3 years of service as town administrator from the position of Board of Selectmen in the course of weeks or months. It wouldn't be fair to you, and we weren't looking to find a new administrator, and I think it's important that we lock up the one that we have, especially somebody that scores at 31.1 out of 32. So with that said, congratulations, and we'll move forward unless you have any comments.
Thank you. Just thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, other new business not reasonably anticipated.
I actually do have one item, Mike. We got a note from an individual, Ken Rao, from Little League, wanted to confirm that they would be approved by the Board of Selectmen for their parade on Saturday, April 23rd. They've already received approvals from police, fire, and park, so I think it is perfectly fine, and I would just ask that the board agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a tradition. Hell, I was in it a few years back. It's always a great day, and follows up with a couple of games. I know they have included the girls softball in it over the past decade plus, and yeah, it's a cool day.
So I don't think we need necessarily a motion per se, but ceremoniously, I guess I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. We do have one other item under other new business not reasonably anticipated. Town Clerk, Liza Landy. Liza, you want to come on up to the podium?
Hey, Liza.
Hi,
How
Liza.
are you?
I'm great. A few
Liza,
days
always
before
good
the
to see you.
election. It's been a little crazy of a week. Last week, I called Mike in a little bit of a panic. The Board of Registrars has to post a meeting to let the town know that we are testing the voting equipment. And unfortunately, our AutoMark machines, which is the handicap machine, it has headphones. It allows you to hear the ballot. It's actually read to you. You can enlarge the screen so in case you can't read it, and it fills in the circles for you if you are unable to write. So those machines continue to give me error messages and multiple calls to Nebraska and try to troubleshoot. They sent me new cartridges to put into the machine. They arrived by UPS on Monday. I'm excited to put them into the machine. Still doesn't work. I was worried about having to post another agenda, and I was worried about time. So that was ultimately why I reached out to Michael. Like I didn't know what I was to do. So I called the state and learned that the agenda that we post is for the tabulators and not the AccuVote. I mean, the AutoMark, excuse me. So that was a sigh of relief because the machines were still broken. So I call back to Nebraska and I get a different technician and he asks me a series of different questions and he says, "Wait, did you get new voting tabulators?" I said, "We did." He said, "Those AutoMarks need to be updated to accommodate the new." I was like, "Oh, thank you, Lord."
The software?
Yeah.
The software needed to be updated. I didn't know. Nobody told me. So they tell me they'll send a technician out. This was on Monday. The machine sat in here until this morning, actually, under lock and key, and then they were moved to another conference room. And fortunately, I'm pleased to tell you that they are currently up and running. The guy came because we were open and he was able to come. Otherwise, he would have had to come tomorrow. So thank you for the late hours. The machines are now fixed. They're up and running. I just didn't want to, I know they're not used a lot at the elections, but I didn't want those who need the machine to not be able to use it. And word was kind of out that the machines were broken. Because the Board of Registrars were here with me testing the machine, so I was, you know, as I always tell Doug, I like to do the right thing, and the right thing wasn't happening for me. But it's fixed as we speak. The guy just left probably a half an hour ago, and I'm good to go for Saturday.
Perfect.
Great to hear.
Good
So,
news, thank you.
so I wanted you to have the opportunity to speak tonight, not knowing what the result might be, just in case we had to kind of brainstorm.
I couldn't agree more. I was even reaching out to neighboring towns to see if I could borrow a machine.
Perfect.
I didn't know it was the ballot,
Yeah.
though, so fortunately,
So tragedy averted. So,
Yep.
so we're good.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks, Liza.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks for the
update.
time.
Very good job.
All right.
See you later.
Doing a great job.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, old business, FY23 budget. Doug.
Thanks, Mike. So there's really no update, which is a good thing at this late date, on the operating budget. So unless you have any questions, I thought I would kind of go right into the warrant, unless any of you had any specific questions on the budget.
Any questions on the budget?
Nope.
Nope, everybody's good. So now we'll move on to recap of March 28th. Yeah, we're going to do that. The recap of March
Sure.
28th, 2022 public meeting, RE draft town meeting warrant. Doug?
Sure. So the chairman and I did a public meeting here in this room on the 28th where we went through each individual warrant article, gave a brief explanation, and made ourselves available to answer any questions that any members of the public may have had. It was also recorded, and it's available for folks to watch at any other point online at their convenience, just so they have a good understanding of what the articles are. There really weren't any questions from the public. We did have some good points made by the chairman of the Community Preservation Committee, which was helpful for one of the CPA articles, and I made some subsequent revisions to that. So that comment was helpful. Haven't heard any other feedback yet, but I assume the YouTube video has been viewed and it's been helpful for some members of the public. And I'm not sure, Mike, if you had more to
Yeah, no,
add on
I
that.
think it's just, I mean, it's not anything that we've ever done before, but I thought it was, you know, we've heard loud and clear that the residents want better communication from us, and that they don't always have the opportunity to watch a 2.5, 3 hour selectmen's meeting. So I thought it was important that we do this meeting so that we can separate it, and we can have that video readily available, and we'll start sharing it over the next couple of weeks so people can have an idea of what is on the warrant prior to town meeting, outside of going to a location where the warrant is posted. And we will go further with this process. We still are planning on doing a dress rehearsal of the town meeting warrant at the auditorium for anybody that is able to make it, to be determined, date to be announced. So with that, Doug, May 2nd, 2022, annual special town meeting, final warrant approval.
Great, thank you, Mike. So the warrant is ready to be voted and signed tonight. I'll just highlight a couple last-minute clarifications. And maybe what I'll do, Mike, is if it's okay with you, I'll just kind of run through the table of contents.
Sure.
And maybe I'll just pick a couple things to talk about. So at the special, at the very beginning, we have a couple of budgetary items, paying unpaid bills from a prior year. And I, as recently as yesterday, just added a new unpaid bill that we were just made aware of to that article. Also, the main one on this special is authorization to borrow $13 million for the Abington-Rockland Joint Waterworks for their efforts to remediate PFAS contamination. And we were just notified that the town of Abington, which had the exact same article, exact same matching dollar amount, just approved that at their town meeting the other night. So that's good news. Some more budgetary adjustments, a CPA article to supplement a prior appropriation for a project whose costs have increased due to all the issues in the economy right now. And then about probably 8 or 10 different water department related articles. And the reason why these are all on the special is because of the accounting change that we made from special revenue fund to enterprise fund. Just we need to vote this in the special so that those funds are available. In the future, these types of things will be at the annual town meeting. And then moving to the annual town meeting warrant, the table of contents is on page 13. The traditional article to set the elections, set elected official compensation. Article 3 is the big one, that's the town budget. Articles 4 and 5 are transferring funds back into OPEB and stabilization, significant amounts of funding from free cash to do that. And those are critically important articles because those are commitments we made to the town when we temporarily borrowed those funds to balance the budget and pay for the McCarthy farm. We'd said we'd pay it back, and we're paying it back. We're also putting funds, Article 6, into stabilization. Article 7, reauthorizing revolving funds, that's one that's going to look a little bit different compared to prior years because the state's Municipal Modernization Act really requires towns to create a bylaw to adopt the revolving funds. So this article looks a little longer than normal because per state law we have to adopt this bylaw. And then at the end it has the table with the spending limits. And in future years that's all we'll have to do is update that table with the spending limits. But we need to adopt that, that bylaw. Articles 8 and 9 are adopting the water and sewer enterprise fund budgets. Again, that looks a little different than in past years because it's an enterprise fund budget, and so we model the language off the Department of Revenue's recommendations. Then going forward, CPA allocations, the normal 10% categories plus the 70% categories. And then Article 11 and then also number 33 are two other CPA projects, which I don't think were on an earlier discussion. So my recommendation tonight is that you vote to open the warrant for Articles 11 and 33, which I'll explain in a moment, and then recommend those and then close the warrant. We've talked about them in the past, but I didn't physically get them until after the point where I was presenting prior drafts to you. Article 11 is what we spoke about previously for the creation of affordable housing, which is one of the allowable uses of the CPA. And what we're doing here is creating additional affordable units at Copley Gardens. And we're doing that by transferring or reappropriating a prior article we voted at a prior town meeting from the CPA affordable housing. That was for $85,000. If you remember, the intent of that was to help folks during COVID with rental assistance, things like that. As our assistant town administrator, Jen Constable, was working on implementing that program, it just turned out we didn't need to do it because the feds and the state were coming up with so much funding for this exact same purpose. We didn't need to spend it on that. So we're reappropriating that $85,000, then adding a new $15,000 to come up with $100 for this affordable housing supplement through the CPA. That's Article 11. Maybe I'll wait till I get to the end and I'll explain Article 33, but just as a reminder, we should open and close the warrant for those two articles. Then we get into a whole bunch of capital articles, finishing the recycling center, road repairs, standard town capital projects, which are the miscellaneous account that we use for issues that come up, fire department, admin vehicle, fire department ambulance, pickup truck, and a fire engine, and emergency flooring repairs at the fire station. And again, highlighting that the ambulance, the pickup truck, and a good portion of the fire engine are all being funded from marijuana host community agreement funds. Then a number of highway department articles. The biggest is the fuel management system at the highway facility, which fuels up all the vehicles. Road improvements with a number of different roads, a dump truck purchase, and a service body truck purchase. Then we have masonry repairs at the community center, 2 new police cruisers, also funded from marijuana host community agreement funds. At the school department, technology purchases and vehicle lease payments. And then at the parks department, a number of a variety of equipment, as well as replacing the storage building at the track and a generator at their building. Article 32 is one that I did change from a prior draft, so I want to explain this one a little bit. So what Article 32 is doing is there was an article that was previously approved at town meeting that was going to be, it was from sewer funds, the funding was going to be used to repair the digester boiler. Since that time, the cost to actually repair the digester boiler is more than doubled, and this won't even cover half of it. But also since that time, we've received some ARPA funds, or the availability to access ARPA funds through the county. So this is definitely an ARPA eligible project. So what we're going to do is put an ARPA application in through the county to fund that entire digester boiler repair, which is roughly $515,000. So what this article is doing is reappropriating the balance of that prior article, which is currently $226,000. Now, the way I had it originally worded was to be very broad and general for just generic improvements at the treatment plant. In our meetings with the finance committee, they had concerns about wording it that broadly, not knowing exactly what it would be used for, and if it would trip a $50,000 threshold for something that should be in the capital plan, which were all good comments. So we reworked this article and made it very specific that it's going to be used for the effluent meters, inflow and infiltration, remediation and engineering related to those projects. That's been approved by, it's already on the capital plan. All those items are on the capital plan, voted, approved by the finance committee, and approved by the sewer commissioners. So that article is improved. And then lastly, Article 33, or I shouldn't say lastly, there's 2 more articles. Article 33 is the other CPA article I referenced, which has been talked about for a bit, but I didn't get it until after my prior drafts. And that's to complete the rail trail signalization project, which I know everybody supports. That's very important. And then lastly is Article 34, which is the petition article to require video recording of every single board and committee meeting in town. So that's a very quick summary. I know you guys have already read this and reviewed it a lot in the past. So unless you have any questions, which I'll try to answer, I would just ask that in addition to, having your vote on the warrant as is, that you reopen the warrant for Articles 11, 33, vote to support those 2 CPA articles, then close the warrant, and then we're good to go. We'll have signature pages for you to sign.
Okay, anybody have any?
Make a motion to open the warrant?
Okay, so we have a motion, but anybody have any questions first? Okay. No. So we have a motion to open the warrant.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, we will do roll call on this. Selectman Ryan?
Yes.
Selectman Needham?
Yes.
Selectman Penny?
Yes.
And myself. Okay, so now with number 11 and 33 included, I will entertain a motion to close the warrant.
Well, first we have to vote on the 2 and put.
However you want to do
Well,
it.
I'll make a motion to insert
To insert, but.
number
yeah, okay.
11 and number 33,
I'll
Mr.
second.
Lapp's list to the warrant.
So I have a motion to include 11 and 33 in the warrant, and I have a second. All those in favor, roll call.
Yes.
Selectman Ryan, Selectman Penny,
Yes.
Selectman Needham,
Yes.
and myself. And now I will entertain a motion to close the warrant.
Motion to close the warrant.
I have a motion to close.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor, roll call. Selectman Ryan.
Yes.
Selectman Penny.
Yes.
And Selectman Needham,
Yes.
and myself. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to approve the warrant as written.
Make the motion to approve as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? No?
I will second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, roll call. Selectman Ryan?
Yes.
Selectman Penny?
Yes.
Selectman Needham?
Yes.
And myself. Okay, that's all set. Next on the agenda, other old business not reasonably anticipated.
I have none.
Okay, number 8, Town Administrator's Report and Correspondence. Doug?
Thanks, Mike. I do have a bunch of things to highlight tonight. The first is back on March 19th, I think it was Sunday the 19th, I had the pleasure of attending an event at the GAR Hall where they opened the facility up to the public. There was a lot of exhibits there, a lot of Civil War history, and I met one of our Historical Commission members, Jim Paul, who gave me the tour of the whole building, and it was fascinating, especially going up into the attic and seeing all the different storage areas. It's like rich with history, and the space was just beautiful. So I'd encourage folks that haven't been there before to check it out. It's the first historic preservation project that the town has funded through the CPA. The ceiling and the lighting, it's really just beautiful. So I was glad to be able to attend that event. And I should also highlight, as I normally do, this is kind of a random order as things come into my head, so don't try to follow the flow. The next is an update on the billboard project along Route 3. I recently had a Zoom meeting with the developers and with our land use attorney. So things are going fine. There's no issues. I did prepare at their request a draft letter of support for Mike's signature to send to the Mass DOT's Office of Outdoor Advertising, because that's their next step. They've got their local approvals, now they need their state approval, and they felt that a letter of support would be helpful. In talking to them, Attorney Galvin and I both think this is reasonable, that they have 6 months from the date of submission of their permit application to get all required federal, state, local permits. They want to make sure they take their time with the submission and really do it right to give them the best chance of success of getting their state permit. And they don't want to rush to get something in quicker to meet our artificial deadline if it's going to jeopardize their approval. So as of right now, everything's fine, but I'm just letting you know that in our meetings with them, they might come back for an extension of time, and we'll evaluate that when it comes, but it won't be for lack of trying to get this approved. It will just be because they really want to be methodical. And the only reason why we put that deadline in was because there was a question raised about, since the state DOT had a competing proposal, whether this could turn into a long, protracted, dragged out permitting process. And we made it clear to them, we have no appetite for that. We want a billboard up so we can start receiving those funds. But we also made it clear that the board felt strongly that was the best proposal because it wasn't directly located in the middle of a densely populated residential neighborhood. So we want to give them the time to do it right. Long way to getting to that point. Jen and I also had the pleasure of attending an award ceremony in Falmouth on March 22nd, and that was for the Massachusetts Park and Rec Association's 2022 awards, and in particular, their 2022 Community Impact Award for the South Shore region was given to the Recreation Department in Rockland to Jean Blaney. And so we were happy that she asked us to attend, and it was really it was awesome. It was great. I mean, everybody there is so passionate. And this particular award, I think, really meant a lot to Jean because she was nominated by her peers. That's who nominated her. So that was a great event and well-deserved.
That's actually, you and I know it's particularly impressive considering, where we thought that program might be going during COVID.
That's right.
And what the future of that program might be. And Jean has done a remarkable job throughout COVID and coming out of COVID, and certainly deserved of that honor. That's great.
Yeah, and not only withstanding it, but actually growing with even newer and better programs too. Yeah, she's done a fantastic job. The next item, I just want to hand something out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I know Jen gave an update on this recently. I won't go through this in detail, but what I just handed out was a printout of our first email newsletter that Jen spoke about at a prior meeting with the help of a consultant. And we're really trying to focus it on water and sewer infrastructure issues, as that's critically important to the town, and it's a burning issue for our residents. So hopefully you're all getting this newsletter. If you're not, Jen also just put out a Facebook post with a link to sign up if you're not already getting it. So I just wanted to hand that out and say that there will be more to come. I appreciate Jen's efforts on that. And if you have any questions on that as we continue, just let me know. I mentioned earlier how we were going out to bid to replace the roof at the police station. So since our last meeting, the bids came in, and I thought this was really interesting because I didn't know what to expect, and I was a little bit fearful given this current construction climate that it was going to blow out our estimate. So we had, based on the deputy chief's quotes he got from some firms, we appropriated $120,000. Again, not knowing what to expect, we received 13 bids, and the range came from the low bid, which we vetted and have signed a contract with, the low bid of $74,500 to a high bid of nearly $200,000. And literally everything in a pretty linear form, everything in between, $75,000 to $200,000 was the spread. So we did very well on this particular bid, to my pleasant surprise. So the contract is executed, and I think the actual work will start toward the end of April. So that's good news. Also relating to the police department, Lieutenant Zioli recently got a grant to acquire some AEDs, some defibrillators. So I wanted to recognize that. Then transitioning on to the McCarthy Farm, we spoke about that earlier, my performance review, and that is still ongoing. There's still a lot of work that we're coordinating to physically get the $400,000 reimbursement because we haven't got it yet. One of the things we need to do in order to get there is to construct a parking lot and put up signage. But because of the conditions, the wetlands, the conditions on the site, I've been working with a variety of people, including Dave Taylor and the Conservation Commission's consultant, because we had to file a full notice of intent with Concom. It's been forwarded to DEP. We just got our DEP filing number. We're on the Concom's agenda for April 12th. Not anticipating any issues, but just to be clear for the public, we're following all the same rules that anybody else, private residents, private business, anybody else. We don't take a shortcut because it's town-owned land. We'll follow all the same rules. But we're on a tight schedule because we need to get everything approved, get through the appeal period, get it all constructed by the end of May. So we're cranking along there. Next, on March 28th, I participated in it was a Zoom meeting. It was called a virtual summit, and it was with Massachusetts mayors and managers from across the Commonwealth, specifically targeted toward anti-Semitism. There were over 170 different towns represented, and the output of this is a push to have each community have to adopt a formal definition of what anti-Semitism is, and then to formally recognize Holocaust Remembrance Month in the month of January, which I'll bring back to the board next year. And some of the statistics they cited with people, and it's not even just kids in school, even younger adults, complete lack of understanding and knowledge of history and what actually happened. And so it's an effort that communities across the Commonwealth.
Can I echo on that? I don't even know if anyone knows this. The high school next year will actually have an elective for the kids that actually goes in depth into the Holocaust.
That's great.
To do that. So the reason why I know is my daughter is actually putting it together and going to be teaching it. So,
you know what? I might connect her with some of the resources from the organization that spearheaded this meeting, because they have a lot of resources. I'm glad to hear that. So that's something I'll bring back later as we get closer to next January. Next, we did interview 2 candidates for the position of town accountant. And I say 2 because it was really 2 people that met all of our qualifications out of everyone that applied. So we'll need to talk more. I'll talk to Mike, but tentatively I'd like to see if you would agree to do interviews with the Board of Selectmen at your May 3rd meeting. That'll give us time to check references and do a little bit more due diligence. We're not a screening committee, so we're not narrowing it down to a single finalist to prepare to you. We're only interviewing 2, so we'll we'll forward those same 2 people. So just to be clear, we're not narrowing it down, but at least this way, when I say we, it was myself, Jen Constable, HR Director Stacy Callahan, and our accounting consultant Eric Kinscherf. So this way, we've interviewed them. We'll have some input we can give you after your interview before you deliberate and make your decision. And I wanted to make sure to take the time to do it right and not rush it. Just a couple other items quickly. The 2021 annual town report is printed. Copies are available at many town buildings. We'll give them out at town meeting. And as always, I want to thank Sue Ide in my office for all of her work coordinating that. It's greatly appreciated. We're doing a lot of cybersecurity training. I'm just mentioning that to you because it's a hot topic statewide within, amongst towns, and it takes a lot of effort because, we got a grant to participate in a program with the state where they push out educational material that has to be read with exams, and staff has to do it, and it takes time away from other tasks, but it's a priority, and Gino and our IT department is doing all the right things to protect us as best we can. Then 2 things regarding my schedule. I'm going to be out of the office on Thursday and Friday this week. I'm going to be participating in the ICMA, the International City Manager Association. Their Northeast Regional Conference this year is in Boston, so I'll be up there Thursday and Friday. And then lastly, the week of April 18th, which is school vacation week, I'm going to be out of town taking my son to some college tours, so I'm going to have to miss that selectmen's meeting on the 19th, but I believe Jen will be available to sit in. Sorry that was long, but that's all I got.
No problem. All right. Selectmen's comments. Comments and opinions expressed by individual members do not necessarily reflect the views of the Board of Selectmen and are the opinions and comments of only the individual member. Ms. Needham.
What a night. What a night. As we began with the honoring the legacy of Dr. Rogers, I've moved to be able to celebrate achievement of Eagle Scout, Adam, who's just beginning, what will be an exceptional, just an exceptional, it's an exceptional honor, but just at his beginning. And then recognizing the promotion of both Lieutenant Brian's 26 years and Sergeant Brian's 17 years. And Larry, 18 years as a selectman. And Rich, 3.5, but what a 3.5 those were, and as well as many of the other committees that you've been. Chief Llewellyn, as he's talking about his, the process that it takes to select a new chief, and his having been here for 16 years. Doug, we were able to honor your last few years of achievement, but look forward to continued progress. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you for all of your achievements without thanking Jen Constable as well, because you're an amazing team. So it's been a great night, and it just and then also Jean Blaney. I saw that award, and it was phenomenal. So it just shows all the wonderful things that are going on in Rockland, and it's just a pleasure to see that.
Thank you, Tiffany. All right, we're going to do this a little different. I'll get my comments out of the way, and then I'll leave it to the 2 other, those that are departing the board tonight. Just thank you, both of you guys. You guys have been, great friends and mentors to me over the years, and you've really helped me find my way up here. And Larry, Rich, at the time on the finance committee, I joined without any knowledge at all. I don't think I said a word the entire first year, but because I took notes, I became the secretary the next year. And you could have exposed me a number of times for not knowing, but instead we'd stand out there and we'd talk for 2.5 hours after the meeting, and you gave me really an education that I didn't know anything about. So, and through that we became friends, and you stepping up to run when we needed you most was really something, a debt I can never repay. So thank you for that. And Larry, I think the last time that I didn't like you was when I fouled out of a Holy Family basketball game, and you sent me to the end of the bench. I fouled out after 3 minutes because I bought cheap sneakers from your wife at Kmart, and I couldn't stop on the floor, and you threw me to the end of the bench, and you yelled louder than I can ever remember anybody ever yelling, and I think I sat on the bench and cried. I'm like, that guy is nuts. I never want to see that guy again. But when I announced that I was running for selectman, you were the first person to show up to hold the sign that morning. You met me first thing in the morning, and you've been holding my sign ever since. And actually, the day after the election, you picked up all the signs without telling me where you went to get them, and you just threw them on my front lawn and said, hey, I think I got most of them, you know? And I was like, all right, thanks, Larry. I guess I'll go on a scavenger hunt and find the rest. But you know, your value.
Thought that counts.
Yeah, it was a great thought, yeah. Your value was never more realized to the town than in 2018. You thought you were winding down at that point. And then when we needed you the most, you stepped up. And you know, Mike Mullen and myself are forever in your debt. I think, you know, we've got a bond that'll go for a long time. And I remember you famously said to me, you know, Mike, I think I'll be the chairman. And he said, I don't think your job or Mike's job wants to see you guys on the news talking about sex scandals every night. He said, I don't answer anybody except for Mary, and she's okay with it. So, you know, you took the bullets when we couldn't, and for that, like I said, Mike Mullen wanted to be here tonight, but he asked me to extend his gratitude to you as well for that. So, Larry, thank you. Thank you for everything you've
It's been
done.
a pleasure, actually. Mike's a great guy. I expected him to give me a roll of duct tape.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. So with that, Selectman Penny.
So thank you. First thing, I want to wish the Rockland High School spring athletes, wish them luck in their upcoming season, particularly the track team, as my daughter is, for the first time, entering in the coaching. She's a coach on the track team, so I wish them all the best. You know, there are a number of families over the history of the town and names that, you know, really carry a lot of weight and have made an impact in this town. And two of them, unfortunately, in the past week or so, had tragedies. So, you know, earlier we talked about John Rogers and what John meant to the town, what he has done for the town. But the other is Sally McKinley. Sally, unfortunately, passed away just after John. And the McKinley family is another family that is impactful. You know, we've got a school named after John. We actually have a road named after Scott. And these families, you know, for 50, 60 years have had an impact on so many people. You know, every kid going through the school system were impacted by both families. When they went into retirement, they continued, and John right up to the end, continued giving back to the community, and the McKinley family, even with Sally's passing, continues to give back. So, you know, condolences to the family. They will be sorely missed, but the legacy that both have created will continue to go on. I'm not one for being out and having acknowledgement. Very uncomfortable, but I appreciate the recognition. You know, I've done this hopefully for the right reasons. You know, try to make the town that I've grown up in a better place. So I want to thank everyone, people who supported me, the board that I've been on. It has been pleasurable. To Mike, you know, we're both Rockland kids, but Mike was a lot younger. So I didn't know Mike until we actually were on the finance committee. You know, and I don't know, what is it now? 12,
years.
13?
12 years,
I don't
yeah.
even know what it is. We've actually become friends. He is this generation's John Rogers.
Wow. Thank you. Not deserved, but I appreciate the sentiment.
No, and you know, I don't get emotional. This is
I
This is
actually bet
way-
Doug you were going to.
I lost the bet.
You lost the bet. So,
this is definitely out of my character. So, just want to thank everyone. Thank my family for coming. And while I'm stepping away from here, not leaving the town. So, I still have some things to do. So, thanks.
thank you, Rich. That was not even. It's appreciated. Thank you, Larry. One last time.
See you later.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Hold
I'm
Can I
looking-
put my feet up.
Yeah, set the
There you go.
timer.
You could-
Anybody
you're
got a neck
officially
timer?
off the clock. I have to really thank an awful lot of people that it would take me forever to do. I want to really thank the former fire chief down there for getting me involved in this, because if it wasn't for him, I'm a social butterfly in a lot of aspects, so this was right up my alley. I got to meet an awful lot of people from around the state and different Republicans, Democrats. I've always been an unenrolled person, so I always voted for the best person for the job, but all the different sheriffs, Senator Morrissey, friend of mine, and people that we grew up with, it's been so good. I mean, Scott McKinley, I'd like to say a special thanks to him because he kept me in line a few times when I needed it. And he would, come over and grab me by the arm and say, and I'd say, yes, sir. And I would take his advice, and it made me a much better person. And even Doug, when he came into the office, and he says, there'll be no more off-color anything around here, any way, shape, or form. Bob Love out in Town Hall. I'm going fecal matter. I'm in big doo-doo now, And it was just the little things, but something. It's a respect of people, and I think that's what you brought to this town, along with Jen. Jen is another person who puts her nose to the grindstone and doesn't look up till the job's done. I look at the two of them here night after night and day after day, and are there any complaints? Of course, there's complaints all the time from somewhere for everybody, I mean, there are people that, if you believe it, on Facebook that say nasty things about me. And you know what? And years ago, I had a similar circumstance where someone actually wrote a whole website against me, and I was asked, "Doesn't it bother you?" And you know what? I looked them in the eye. I said, something? My mother called me worse things than they did, and she says she loves me, so I can only assume that they love me too. And that's been a good way to do it because I don't know, anger. In the early years, there was always times of anger. I didn't know what to expect. I was really an outsider, stepping into a private domain of the Rockland people. And I took some cuffs, and I handed a few out. But in the end, everybody knew exactly where I stood and what kind of answer you were going to get out of me, whether you were, I don't care who you were in town. And I stood toe-to-toe with a number of people over the years, different commissions and different offices, and said, listen, this is the way it's got to be. Rockland needs to cooperate with each other. When I first came here, there was very little cooperation. There was always, this is my kingdom, and I live here, and nobody else is going to invade my territory. Well, that's changed. That's changed a lot in the last years. We have a complete staff of professional people now in most every department. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. But we got to work to be perfect, and everybody has to take part in it. It can't be left for certain people to step forward and do the job, and do the job, and do the job, the same people. If there's new people that want to get on to boards and offices, vote them in. Don't let them get away. Bring them on, because you know something, in the old days, you couldn't get a hold in Rockland. I had to run against any number of candidates just because of whatever. And now, 2 years, you know, Tiffany's been here 2 years and she's a member of the Board of Selectmen. It's a great thing, because you get somebody who comes in here with fresh ideas, new thoughts, new processes, and brings a whole different look to the game. And I think that's what I did some 20-something years ago. People asked me what I was going to do. I said, I got to take a look around, see what's going on before we can do anything. It was fun. It took me a month to get rid of the people that ran Rockland Place, because it was a slum at the time. And I had the fire chief down there. We had everybody down there. Anyway, I got a phone call from Mr. Chaffee, the the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and he says, "Hi, Larry, how's it going?" "Good." He says, "You're doing a great job." I says, "Thank you." He goes, "You wouldn't mind including the rest of the board, would you?" I mean, I had no idea what a selectman was supposed to do, how they were supposed to work, how it would get involved. I learned a lot of things, and it made me a much better person. And again, I have to thank my wife, Mary, because without her, she was a lifeline to all the town gossip. No, and I don't mean that derogatory, but when you work in a public office, you hear everything.
He finally revealed his source.
And people don't always want to tell you, you know, we'll call them the bad things or whatever. But you know something, everybody should have one of those people who let you know. No, that let you know what's going on, so that you can make the proper decisions, and you don't get blindsided. The hardest thing in the world is to say no to somebody who you like. But if you're going to be a selectman, if you're going to be a leader, if you're going to be someone with integrity, then there comes a time when you have to suck it up and say, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Olaf, I'm just calling you up, but you don't win this one. You know, it has to go this way." And there are people who still dislike you 20, 30 years later because you made a decision against them, but it's the best for the most. It's the best scenario for the most people in the town of Rockland that we should be striving to look for. That's what I tried to do all my years. Perfect? No. Close? Not even. And I would never claim to be any more of a hero than the next guy who stood forward and accepted the job too. But I accepted it, and I did it to the best of my ability. I thank everybody in the town of Rockland that helped me. I even thank those people that stood against me, because without them there, I wouldn't know what the opposition was about. So just the best of luck to the town of Rockland. We have a great administration now that's doing a great job. We survived the pandemic. We're in great shape. I just can't thank them enough for the work they've done. And I'm going to be around. I'll be around town. Say hello. Don't be afraid to wave at me. But most of the time I'll be off hunting rocks and fossils and writing my newsletter. I got a newsletter too, you know. I'll send you a copy. But anyway, thanks to the town of Rockland. Thank you all. And we'll see you again.
You want to adjourn it?
I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Roll call vote. Mr. Penny?
Yes.
Ms. Needham?
Yes.
Mr. O'Laughlin?
Yes.
And Mr. Ryan says yes too. Good night, everyone. Thank you for a great time.